There are many reasons why people come to Puerto Vallarta. The views and the sunsets from the Malecón are phenomenal. Life in the COVID era has placed restrictions on almost everything we enjoy in life, or has it? So many people like myself still made the trip to places like Puerto Vallarta. We've made our peace with the restrictions and removed the elements of the COVID unknown. So if you're on the fence about travel to Mexico, specifically to Puerto Vallarta, then watch this video. It'll help you better shape your expectations and help you to decide whether to make the trip or not. Hey everybody, this is Andy from the Timeless Travel Club, and I'm traveling Mexico to put a spotlight on different locations to help you decide where your next vacation destination is going to be in. And traveling so much like I do, I see a lot of chatter on the internet. People are asking so many questions about its safety here. You know, with this pandemic dilemma that we're in right now, this COVID climate. All those questions are valid. You know, everybody wants to know, is it safe for themselves or is it safe to take their loved ones anywhere away from their home? And I'm going to show you airport to airport, in the hotels, on the Malecón right here. It's Friday right now, so the weekend crowd has arrived. I don't know if it's going to be a little too noisy. I don't know if this microphone's picking up the weekend carnage that's going on down there. And I can tell you this right now, the weekend crowd, I don't see anyone wearing masks. And I'll pan the camera down there here in a bit so you can see for yourself. But during the weekdays, all along the Costera, which just opened up, I'm told, a couple of weeks ago, they had that all closed off. But I would have to say about 80% of the people are wearing masks. But yeah. So all the questions that I'm seeing on the internet, you know, they're all valid questions. Everybody's perspectives are correct because everyone has a different way of looking at things. But I'll try to take you, step by step, from airport to airport, how these locations, what precautions they're taking, what measures that they're taking to ensure everyone is safe. And I'll also be sure to point out specific poor sanitized hotspots that you can be aware of or be cautious of, and what steps you can take to improve your situation. I've been watching a lot of video, I've been reading a lot of articles, and there's a lot of things, a lot of spots that I was unaware of. So I'm going to point those spots out for you to help you. All right, so my journey begins at the Fresno International Airport, which is the nearest airport to my hometown in California. So let's check that out. You are not seeing people in this airport at the moment because it is about 5:30 in the morning. I had an early flight, but you can see they are separating their clients out. They've got signage everywhere, they've got sanitizer, and this is hotspot number one. Do not, if you can avoid using these kiosks, because you don't know who's been there, where they've been. The airport, people are well spaced, everybody has masks. Even walking up to the checkpoint, everybody is 6 feet from each other. Pet peeve of mine, having to take your shoes off. And even entering the restroom, there are friendly reminders to mask up before you go anywhere, which I did. All right, onto the plane. I have to mention, I was upgraded to a first class seat. Things are looking up for me on this trip. But they are passing out Purell hand sanitizer. I asked for an extra one because I thought they were wipes, and now I have 2 hand sanitizers. But I wanted to share with you information that I've borrowed from another fellow YouTuber. She is a flight attendant who is currently furloughed, unfortunately, and her channel name is Fly with Stella. She put out a great video on the dirtiest places on an aircraft. So check her out. She has a great personality, and she has a lot of great information for when you fly. The next time I fly, I'm gonna make sure that I pack along my own sanitizer wipes. These are the spots that you need to sanitize yourself because these are not wiped down between flights. Your tray tables, of course. Every little handle that you use to open your tray table. If you have a TV monitor, make sure that's wiped down because again, these are not wiped between flights. And here's a spot that I wasn't aware of. The top of your seat. Sometimes we'll pull ourselves up from that seat, but there are plenty of passengers' heads that have touched that and other people that have used the top of that seat. Make sure that you wipe down the little handles to open your window because everybody else is using it. And make sure to clean, to sanitize your recline button. Magazine placements, how many times have you gone in and pulled the little pouch out to put a magazine back or take one out? And one of the dirtiest things on a plane are these seat belts. Again, they are not wiped down, so take the time, wipe before you buckle up to make sure that you are safe. A little overkill on the recline button there. All right, and off we go. Stella says another major spot is the restroom. So I just went to visit to shoot some video. I am not doing my business, I promise. Now the restroom is a location that gets wiped down between each and every flight. It is actually pretty clean once you board the plane. I've walked into a restroom and it actually smells pretty good. But as that flight progresses, well, you get the idea. Don't overlook the floor. A lot of people get too comfortable on planes and they'll walk in their socks or even barefooted to the restroom. No, no, no. There's a lot of splashing going on there, if you know what I mean. So make sure to wear some type of a shoe or flip-flop, whatever you have. And we have arrived in Puerto Vallarta. And as you can see, the seats, they separate you, and just like in the United States. And this is where it gets a little bit problematic. As we entered customs, less and less were people separated. And they shouldn't have to, we're all adults, but there were not people instructing us to get some more space between each other. Everybody was masked, but we started to get pretty packed in there. Getting a taxi this time was pretty easy for me. The taxi drivers are masked. My taxi driver offered me sanitizer, offered me a bottle of water, and he offered me plenty of hints to not forget his propina. I had a 4:30 arrival at the Hotel Emperador. I cleaned the bottoms of my shoes, something we don't do in the United States, but hey, maybe they know something we don't. And of course, use my elbow for the elevator button. And off I go to check out my room. Well, I am back at Puerto Vallarta, and while the room is not luxurious, check out my view. Never mind the plastic chair, kind of tacky, but I'll take it. All right, it's doable, yes? I'll answer myself. Yes. Pretty nice sized fridge there. It's bigger than the TV. But here we go, here we go. Yeah, baby. I'm so happy. So, what's the first thing you do when you arrive at Puerto Vallarta? Vas a caminar. So basically, I was curious to see what the mask situation was, and what I saw was tourists not wearing masks. If you're a tourist, there's a high probability that you're either eating, drinking, or smiling for a selfie. So I did not see many tourists wearing masks, although along the Malecón, the majority of them were masked up as they were walking. Now, everyone in a service position, whether it be a beach vendor a bartender, a shop attendant, or a public official. Everyone wore a mask, I would say 95% of the time. There are still a couple of sections that are closed. The amphitheater where the arcs are closed to the public. The plaza in front of the Cathedral de Guadalupe is closed.
Hola, hola a todos. Vamos a hacer un brindis.
My friend Sammy, a local from Puerto Vallarta that I met last year, invited me to a meeting of a group of local residents, businessmen and women from Old Town Puerto Vallarta. I was impressed to see, even though there was a pandemic going on, even though things are shut down, these people are not complacent. They're still getting together, they're still trying to figure out what needs to be done to better enhance the experience of the tourist. The meeting was in Spanish, but translated, it was called Ideas of Tradition and Business of the Downtown Area. Leading the meeting was the Director of Turismo, a councilwoman, and the leader of what is the equivalent to the Chamber of Commerce. The things that are on the table are creating a bike path so those people on bicycles aren't swerving in and out trying to avoid pedestrians. Increasing the number of public restrooms, but it was an interesting group. They were so nice and polite and generous towards me. Of course, I had a free breakfast, I had mimosas, and I had a front seat to a very productive meeting. Now, unfortunately, there have been a couple of casualties, a couple of COVID casualties here in Puerto Vallarta in the way of my favorite restaurants. If you recall, a previous video that I did, I shot an interview with my friend Javier Baños and his new restaurant called Golden Memories. And unfortunately, he didn't have the business during the pandemic, so he had to close. As well as the Tacos and Guacamole Grill, really close to my hotel here, had to close as well. So that's really unfortunate. I was disappointed to learn that when I arrived here on this trip to Puerto Vallarta. But today, Puerto Vallarta seems alive and well. Just yesterday, Friday, today's Saturday? Yeah, Friday. The state of Jalisco just eased off some restrictions. So hopefully that positive trend can continue and we'll see a sign of all businesses begin to thrive once again. I can't breathe.
You dropped the mask.
Thank you.